All right, peace, 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 and love, everybody. All right, today, family, we're actually going to be discussing the afterlife. Is there an afterlife? Yes or no? What is the impetus for the afterlife? Is it the African conceptualization that has trickled down over the time into the different religious realms and spheres, whether it be Judaism, Hinduism, Christianity, etc., etc., etc.? Is there a judgment? Like, are we going to be judged? How do we prove that there is an afterlife? All of these great topics and so much more will be discussed on tonight's show itself. For everybody who's just tuning in live right now, please, please, please hit the share button. Hit the share button. That's first and most foremost. Hit the share button. Let everybody know that we're live right now and we're about to go in. We've got such a nice, diverse panel representing their particular ideology. So it's going to be really, really interesting. You're going to learn a lot from everybody here tonight as well. If you would like to join the panel, there is just one simple thing you have to do is go down and the description box. Find my Facebook link, okay? It's called Facebook, Kalam, S-P-E-L, okay? Go on there, inbox me, let me know that you would like to come on live tonight and have this discussion, and I'll definitely facilitate that for you. All right, so let's get it in, man. Let's get it in. We're going into the afterlife conceptualization. So you know what? I'm going to ask everybody on the panel, okay? I just want a one-word answer, okay? A yes or no, okay? A yes or no. And then we're going to go into a bit more depth so we can see what type of panel we have with us today. So the first question is there an afterlife? And I'm going to start with Virtue TV. We're going to go from, if everybody can see on the bottom, we're going to go from right to left. So Virtue TV, is there an afterlife?
Yes, yes. I'm just saying, like, greetings to the family first. Greetings to everyone on the panel. Hello to everyone on YouTube land, my beautiful people. I'm Virtue TV. My answer to your question, though, Kalam, I'm going to say no.
All right, perfect. All right, Sarah, is there an afterlife?
Kinda.
Kinda. Okay, that's ambiguous. All right, my brother Kumba, are you there?
Yep.
All right, is there an afterlife?
Peace. I would say no.
Oh, wow, okay. I love this. All right, Malik, is there an afterlife?
I would have to say yes, but it's more complicated.
No. That's it. That's it. All right, Edo.
I'll say yes.
All right, and of course, Atu.
I'd have to say yes, there is an afterlife, but perhaps the understanding has been misconstrued through history.
All right, say nada. Okay, so we definitely do have a very diverse panel. It's an overwhelming yes, by the way. Everybody, the majority is saying yes. One has said, I don't know, and one has said definitively there is no afterlife. So this is going to be amazing, okay? This is going to be a really interesting conversation. We're going to have so much different opinions being floated around, and we're going to see if we can establish that any of these ideas on a factual basis as well. So I'm going to open it up for one person to come in. Let me know which tradition or ideology you particularly represent, and what is your afterlife concept. Please, just for anybody can open up their mics right now. Okay, Andrew, go ahead, King.
I'll go first. So I'm coming from the perspective of Benito spirituality. Now, with our spirituality, and by the way, I'm no means I'm not an expert in it, but I know enough to say certain things. So for us, there's an afterlife. It's not in the way that it's presented traditionally. So we accept death, and when you die, you go back and you're with the ancestors and you're with the deities. But at the same time, you can also come back. And quite a lot of our traditions and names have this element in it of where sometimes when somebody dies, there's a new birth, and it signifies that the person has returned and they've never left. The ancestors were always in communication with traditional. So for us, it's not actually an afterlife. It's a transition. So it's like when you open the door to go from one room to the next. So it's not death itself in the way that it's as the way it's presented in Christianity, Islam, and the West in general, it's not like that. There's a continuous interaction. So when you pass on, depending on how you live your life, you can still interact with your descendants, and the descendants can interact with you. So you haven't really, you're simply just not in the same plane of existence, but everybody's still around in a form, in essence.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I like that. I like that. So now, you know what? We need some more Christians and Muslims on the panel, okay? Hilarious Zulu, my Christian brother. Yeah, inbox me. Come on. I've sent you the link already, so just join the panel because we definitely want to hear from everybody, okay? So we need a Christian in, and we also need some Muslims on the topic as well. So if you're a Muslim and you want to join the panel, you know the drill. All you have to do is inbox me, come in and get involved. All right. So anybody else, could you tell me your afterlife conceptualization? Anybody else? Nobody else is feeling brave enough to actually open up and talk about the afterlife.
Oh, well, I'll say, sorry. I'll say I can't really say that I could prove that people actually die either. So that's why I say that there's no afterlife from my perspective, because there is only life as far as I can see.
Ooh, life eternal, yeah? Life eternal.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Sarah, I see you, brother. Go ahead.
No, I like what Brother Kumba just said, actually. My concept, I'm still kind of forming it. If I'm totally honest, I think this life is you are here to experience this vessel, because you know me and everything being energy already. So I think the Nile Valley Africans had this thing about going to the celestial realm after you die. And I think the goal is to become a star. I think the goal is to become a star and govern your own galaxy. So us being energy and everything, and energy never dying, essentially we could become a star or a sun, because you know Ra, and govern our own solar system.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Now I want to just throw it in the mix right about now. So, Virtue TV, because everybody's talking about this afterlife, but I know you already. You're gonna throw a big spanner in the woodwork. Let's go. Let's get it, King.
Why are you saying that, man? Nah, I believe life's eternal, innit? So, like how Sarah was explaining the different forms and different patterns that we're going to be in. So that's just one form of consciousness experience itself as a physical body. There's other forms of consciousness. So it depends on what you're talking about. I rather talk about before life, you know, like that. That's the spanner that I would drop in.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get to life before life. We'll get to that soon enough. But I want to simply say, y'all tripping anyway. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You're gonna all of you lot gonna live again. I believe I'm gonna tell you straight up, yeah. Some people will experience a second death. Okay, y'all, not all of you lot gonna be living eternally, kumbaya in some next plane. I personally don't believe that. Some people on earth already is on their last strands already. So I don't particularly believe that they're going to have no second life or eternal life. What the hell? You lot are just on some hippie vibe. But anyway, I digress. Let me not even go there. So I'm going to bring it now to my brother, Zulu, hilarious Zulu. I want to see what everybody else has to say. I need somebody else to say, hell no, there ain't no afterlife. But right now, I need to hear from my Christian brother. What are you saying, King?
All right. So, how's everyone doing? From my view of afterlife, I see heaven or paradise, as people like to call it, as the destination, right? We're living in this world. I see this world as temporal. getting money, doing all these things is pointless because it's all to do with flesh. It's flesh induced. I see heaven as where the spirit is meant to be inside of us. So we're living on this earth. It says in the Bible we live on average because of the evolution with our health. On average, we live about 70 score years. So in these 70 score years, in this temporal existence, what are you doing? Are you glorifying God and doing His will, or are you glorifying the devil? And that determines your destination, because hell wasn't made for humanity. Hell was made for the angels, the fallen angels and the devil. But because of the moral corruption, you fall along with that by not choosing God. So the destination to go is heaven, and that's where the spirit will belong. That's my.
All right, all right. I hear that. I hear that. You know what? Real quickly, since my brother has, showed some love and donated, let me shout out my Swedish brother over here. I believe you're from Sweden anyway. He says here, this is Brother Teach. He's donated some money. If you would like to donate, actually, let me just show you what he's done real quickly. So I'm going to shout him out. Of course, I'm definitely going to support those people who are supporting me. So my brother Teach says here, I would like to show some love to Titans TV. Please return the love by directing your audience to my YouTube page. I'm a rapper, and these 2 last days, I got a lot of hate from my Muslim brothers. I would like to balance it out. Greetings from Sweden. All right, so greetings, Brother Teach. Keep pushing forward your message. We respect you, we love you, and we are grateful for all of those people who are actually donating to help Titans TV keep pushing and persevering. So, of course, all you have to do is hit a super chat, send a super chat, type in the amount of money you would like to send over to us, and yeah, that would be lovely. That would be appreciated. Show your support and show your love. Thank you very much, Teach. And also, I'd like to thank everybody as well in the past who has donated to Titans TV via Patreon, via PayPal, or via the Super Chat. It goes a long way. It helps out a lot. Definitely helps out. So thank you guys for doing that. All right. So, what I would like right now then, okay, since you are talking this big talk, okay, I want to know, at the point of death, okay, from your conceptualization, okay, from your conceptualization, I want to hear it from my Christian brother first, okay, from your conceptualization, what happens at the point of death, and what is the eschatology in Christianity?
Okay, my answer to that is, by the way, I'd just like to mention I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. My theology is not, accepted, through the general Christianity, because we have views on annihilation and soul sleep. And instead of, because the general views, which people get wrong in Christianity, is that, when you die, you go straight to heaven or hell. But that's not biblical, because we see Abraham, we see all these people when they die, they say they sleep with their fathers, or they give up the ghost, or they give their last breath. This is referring to sleep, soul sleep. So basically, the concept of soul sleep is when as soon as you die, just like how God told Adam, you will return to the dust. We see that we bury our dead, and we return into manure, or return into soil. This is the state of, Jesus calls this sleep, because in that state you're unaware of the earth above you, unaware of anything that's going on. So in that state, it's similar to sleep, right? The process of that is when Jesus comes again, and you've heard him, rising people from the dead, the saved, ascending up to heaven. That is when you will break from that soul sleep, and God will return the breath of life into you, and the dust will become a new creature. You will be made into a new being. So that is my Christian concept of death. It's soul sleep. Well, no, yeah.
Okay. So soul sleep will take place, and then after soul sleep, is there anything else?
Oh, like after soul sleep, this is when the tribulation has ended. Basically, this is when the trumpets have sounded and everyone has received the mark, and whoever side at that point, you can your salvation has been set. So if you're for the devil, you're for the devil, and if you're God's chosen people, you're God's chosen people. So when Jesus comes into from the clouds, he will rise all the dead in Christ first. So, Abraham, David, all these people that have died in Christ, and even all the, early Christians, or everyone that before that time that has died, will rise and break from their soul sleep and become new beings. God even says that, and when we go to heaven, we won't be like how we are now. We won't have a system where, there's families. We won't have a flesh system. It says we'll be like angels, right? So we'll be spiritual beings. Won't be material beings. So that is the process. After everyone, even the ones that are living, are transformed. At the time, are transformed into these spiritual, bodies. Then we'll ascend to heaven, and the rest that are left behind that have not accepted Christ or God, then they will face the first death. After they've faced the first death, um, after the saved have been in heaven for 1,000 years, then they will come down to make the new earth. But what will happen is the judgment day. What will happen is those that died the first death will be risen again, and they'll be shown all the sins that they have committed as to why they did not make it into heaven. And but from God showing them the sins that they've made, they will proclaim that He's just, because they've seen what they did wrong and they've accepted it. After that point, they're thrown into the lake of fire. And after all sin has been permanently distinguished from this planet, God forms a new earth where we might go back to the system of having families, mothers, and wives, and all that. But that we don't know yet. It doesn't specify if we stop being spiritual and then go back to an earthly being, just like in the days of Adam. But the general consensus is that after death, you ascend, leaving your natural body into a spiritual body. It's a bit complex, but it all happens in stages. If you read Revelation, it actually tells you, breaks up in stages about the process of breaking from soul sleep. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. That was you took us on a journey right there. So that's the Christian conceptualization. I don't know if it's in particular to do with the Seventh-day Adventists, but let me just say that for now, it's the Christian perspective. If we have any other Christians out there who like to come onto the panel and give their own particular perspective, we welcome you also. And now I want to hear from another perspective, another tradition. Who would like to come forward and give their traditional perspective? Okay, I'm waiting. Sarah, yeah, go ahead, King. It says, can the soul die? That's another good question. But anyways, let's go.
That was a very detailed description of the afterlife. It's like a movie. But I think, like I said, in my view, that we already know there's no way in which to prove these concepts of the afterlife, right? So they just become things that we believe. And like I said, in my conceptualization, everything being energy, but this is all personal, like everything being energy, you are trying to reach the highest form of that energy construct. And the highest form of the energy construct would be a sun or a star. And so when you return, or you said what happens at the point of death, is what you were saying, right? Your body decomposes, and well, I don't know what this soul thing is yet. I don't know. I'm not quite sold on the soul thing. But energy, as we know, is not destroyed, and the energy within your body will transform into something else. Everything that you think energy is going to transform into is solely subjective, or where you think the energy is going to go is solely subjective. And I think these things comfort us, because really and truly, there's only one thing that we know, and we know our body is going to decompose and probably going to go back into the ground. That's what we know. So everything else just is warm and fuzzy for us. Like I said, I know me talking about becoming a star, I can't prove that to you, but it makes me feel good. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me actually feel good. But I can't prove that to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't prove it. So even in a detailed description that Brother Zulu just said, you can't prove that either. you know what I mean? As detailed as it was, like a movie script. But you know, we can't prove that either. So we are really in the realm of just energy transforming, if we're totally honest with ourselves.
All right, perfect. Do you know what? I'm actually going to give you. Okay, I'm going to welcome some more people in to give them their perspective. Unfortunately, we don't have any other Muslims here at present, so I'm going to be wearing my Muslim cap today, and I'm going to go from an Islamic perspective. From an Islamic perspective, what takes place at the point of death? At the point of death, we are told, according to the Quran, that we have an angel that now comes, and now, takes out our soul, or our ruh, our spirit or soul out of our body. Depending on who we are, it's taken out very roughly, or if we are nice individuals, it's taken out nice and gently. At this point, our body now goes into the grave, and we're going to be spending some time in the grave. I guess our souls and our body now has to, come back to each other at some point, because now we have two angels that now come towards us, called Munkar and Nakir, and they ask us three questions. They ask us. They ask us, who is your Lord? They ask us, what is your religion? And your prophet, who is your prophet, and what did you think of him? Did you actually follow him? These are the questions that are answered. If we answer correctly, we're going to have a nice expansive grave. We're going to have a very nice expansive grave. If not, our grave is going to be really squeezing us close with inside, and it's going to be very discomfortable for us. The other way that it can actually be helped is if our family members now come over to the grave and recite a few prayers, and therefore, the two angels have no need to visit us. So, that takes place. And after that takes place, there's actually a point called the Yom Kippur. This is the day of standing, or day of resurrection, where everybody is called to account. There is a gigantic, loud trumpeting sound being bellowed throughout the lands. And this is by the angel Raphael, depending on which way you're coming from. Now, when this trumpet is being blown, everybody now stands up, and the whole earth is laid flat, and everybody is going to be standing to attention. Everybody's going to be naked. But guess what? Since it's so much of a very dreadful day that nobody's going to be looking at each other's naked parts, and then you're now called to account. I believe that there is a scale of justice, or a scale that's actually going to be presented, and you'll be weighed upon that scale. Whether it's your soul or whether it's your deeds, whatever the case is, you're going to be weighed upon this scale. And if you are weighed correctly and you are okay and you pass whatever you're supposed to pass, taken over to the point of seeing the shin of your Lord. So this is the day of the bowing. So you're now bowing before the shin of your Lord. But that's only if you are a good person. You now get to see the shin of your Lord. Then after that point, you've now been taken into some place called Jahannam, which is paradise, which is heaven, basically. And you get to have all of these, milk and honey and rivers and wine and slave boys. And depending on who you are, again, you get to have different wives, and they're going to be looking even more beautiful than previously. Unfortunately, if you was a little bit bad, but yet you were still a Muslim, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to enter into the hellfire for a little while until you're cleansed, and then afterwards be given your own particular heaven. But you can't ascend to any higher heavens. You're only going to stay in your particular heaven, and only other people who are in the higher heavens can come down and visit you in your lower heavens. And this is pretty much the heaven concept in Islam, I believe, the afterlife concept in Islam. If I've got anything wrong, do forgive me. Astaghfirullah, Allahu alam, he knows best. So that is the Islamic concept of the afterlife. We're going to get into that a little bit later on, whether that is feasible, whether that is right, whether that is correct, or whether it's flawed. And yes, it is pretty much, somebody asked me a question down there, it's pretty much a physical place. Yes, it's a physical place where you get to have loads of sex. You even get to, if you're a martyr, you get 72 different virgins as well. But otherwise, you get certain wives or certain women called the hariyun, black-eyed maidens with beautiful large breasts. So you get to have a very good time, and your penis will always be hard for your woman. So this is the concept of Also, you get to drink wine. Anything that was haram in this life is actually going to be halal in the next life. Ain't that going to be nice? That's so beautiful. So this is the concept that we have, and this is the concept that most Muslims, I hope, do have in their mind when they believe in the afterlife. But if I'm wrong, okay, if I'm wrong, sorry, I'm just trying to, you know, give the best I possibly can give. So you can correct me down below. Anyways, over to you. I'm going to invite anybody else. If you're from the Kemetic persuasion, or the African persuasion, please tell me what takes place at the point of death.
Obviously, as most of our ancestors had some kind of deity, like even in Kemet, for example, you have Anubis that helps you go on to the other side. Obviously, like people have said, obviously energy travels or transfers. But even though I may have had a life before this, I don't know about that life. So for me, my previous life would have definitely ended on this earth. So all of that said, I would definitely believe that when you do die, this life is over for you. But you will go on, depending on how you've lived in this life, onto either out of this realm. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like my man said, almost like you're going to be a star. Or if you've lived quite a low vibration, I believe that you come back again, innit? And obviously, a lot of the ancient African religions, it is cyclical. But for me, I definitely think, yeah, this life on Earth, yeah, definitely, when it comes to an end, you might move on, but your physical body, your life is done, innit? Definitely.
All right, excellent. You know what? I'm just going to read out a comment real quickly. Okay, Apostle of Forrest Gump says the kings don't go to heaven. We got somebody else here. Miss KK says Muslims have so much to say on here, but no one wants to represent on the panel. Interesting, very interesting. Bigger Betty, PCU says must be the same, but meant to far right, huh? Okay, Christian heaven, no sex but love and peace. Wow, amazing, amazing. Okay, we've got some new people that's joined us. Let me just see, who are the new people that have joined us? If you're a new person on the panel right now, please introduce yourself. I believe there's somebody by the name of Elo. Okay, introduce yourself if you can, King. I would definitely like to hear what you have to say. Okay, so I would like from the African concept then, from the traditional African concept, at the point of death, okay? At the point of death, when your ori or your chi, you know, finally leaves your body, what happens?
From my perspective, from what little I know, is at the point of death, you basically go on to be judged. Once again, depends on which tradition you're referencing, because I actually get a little bit irritated when I hear people say African tradition as if it's homogeneous. It's anything but homogeneous. So from our perspective, from my perspective, you go to be judged, and based on how that judgment goes, you're either sent back to basically better yourself, or you join the rest of the ancestors. And the fundamental difference with the way the Benitico traditional system works compared to the Abrahamic faith is our version of paradise is that you're actually serving your people. Hence the reason why libations and rituals are done to the ancestors and the deities is they're helping us, and vice versa. Because ultimately, when you go up, when you pass on, you're actually passing on to be on the other side to help basically your descendants. So, like I said before, it's like going from one room to another. There's no actual death per se. It's just you're leaving your physical body behind. And in the process of doing that, you're using the opportunity to uplift your descendants, to improve them, basically make them stronger, better, guide them. So the paradise of, right, everything you couldn't do before, you can now do it. That's your reward. Doesn't really exist for us. If it was wrong during your time alive, when you pass on to the other side, it's still wrong. The whole point of the ancestors is that they're meant to guide us, and you can't guide somebody if you're misguided. You know, if you're saying it's wrong to say commit adultery, you can't go on to the next life and start committing adultery and say, well, it's fine now because that's just a physical thing over there. Now it's all right. We're meant to be examples, and with the way the spirituality works is the way we live our life. Traditionally, the deities have a place in every single element. So unlike what you have with standard religion, if I can use that term, of where you're given a set of rules and everybody has to follow these rules. For us, based on your life, based on what you're doing, who you follow, and the libations you perform and the traditions you adhere to within the culture differ. So, for example, a farmer is not interested in Ogun's god of war, god of iron. I'm a farmer. That's not my forte. I'm more interested in Olokun, god of water. I'm more interested in fertility for the crops. Whilst a soldier would be interested in Ogun. So a soldier doesn't care about the other stuff. A soldier doesn't care about childbirth. That's for the midwives. So everybody has an aspect that they specialize in, and in that aspect that you specialize in, there's a deity, and within that particular section, there's a school of thought. You know, call it a mystery school. So the medicine man, not everybody can be a medicine man. These things tend to be done by bloodline. So the medicine man, his offspring will also be medicine men, and so on and so forth. And they would adhere to a certain group of deities and ancestors within the culture overall. So imagine it as a big company, and you have different departments. So you've got the people who do procurement, you've got the people who do maintenance, you've got the cleaners. It's that kind of setup. So everybody has their place, and they're all working together to make the entire culture and community function. I hope that makes sense, and I'm not just rambling on and everyone's thinking, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, you done real well. I like that. That was excellent. Thank you for actually telling it to us from the roots itself. That's perfect. Let me just quickly look to see if there's any more questions. Cool, excellent. All right. Again, everybody who's tuned in, if you are new to Talk with the Titans, Talk with the Titans was birthed out of the idea that the intellectual giants, the titans of the community, should have a well-organized platform to present, discuss, and debate critical information affecting our community, proposed by you, our audience members, our community. And that being said, we've had requests to talk about afterlife, what takes place, the judgment day, what happens, how do we come to the understanding and realization of an afterlife, what was the impetus, do we live on, is there eternal life, is it just death after or is that it, is it finality, that's it, terminated, life is gone, no more, etc., etc., etc. So we brought this show forward to you guys so you can hear from a very broad perspective of panel members who have particular knowledge and insight in different traditional fields and in their own perspective of what life contains and what the afterlife contains. So please give us a big thumbs up if you're supporting Titans TV. If you learned a lot from my African centered Nigerian, I believe it's Edo State, Benin centered ideology or concept or philosophy on the afterlife, please give us a big thumbs up. If you was liking what Sarah was saying, give us a big thumbs up. If you was liking what my Christian brother was saying, give us a big thumbs up. If I did any service and justice to the Muslim ideology, please give us a big thumbs up and let us know that you're supporting the information. We're trying very hard to give you this information. I know this is a very tricky subject because this is a very subjective, belief-based subject. Okay, but hopefully we can bring some knowledge to it. Let's see if we can actually get some knowledge. Can we testify with these things? Very shortly, we're going to get into that. Let me think. I might as well represent now. So I've taken off my kufi right now. I'm going to put on my nemes, or my namuz, or my nemes. And now I'm going to, I'm a ureus even. And I'm now going to hopefully, you know, discuss the Kemetic ideology of the afterlife, okay? So the Kemetic ideology of the afterlife, what actually takes place after somebody who professes to be the ancient Egyptian or the Kemetic. I'm talking about, this is, when I'm talking about Kemetic in this particular instance, I'm talking about the ancient Egyptian thought form. What actually happens at the point of death? Now, this is very interesting. It's actually a very complex topic. It can't just be answered just like that. I'm going to be real with you. I won't give you, I won't bring forth justice to this topic because it's very broad and very vast. Okay, but I'm going to try my very best to give you something that is very basic, so to speak, and hopefully we can actually relate that way. So for the ancient Egyptians, what actually takes place at the point of death? Let me see if I can bring up any images for you guys to best demonstrate it. Okay, so let's see. I'm on Google right now. So we have at the point of death, we die. Okay, we die. I can't find anything nice right now, so I'm just going to freestyle with it. Hopefully I can find something later on. Okay, so the point
Yo,
you there?
yeah.
Who's this?
This is Alex from the United States. I was gonna make it looking for something for Kemet. If you go about how to be a good introduction, so you give a general because it tells you more so of how your life determines what happens to you in the afterlife. So I think that would be a great bridge point.
Could you repeat that? Because your mic actually went off a bit. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, perfect. What I was saying is you were looking for an image for Kemet. I was suggesting that if you take the papyrus of Ani, go to the point where you see the scale being weighed on, his heart being weighed on the scale. I think that'd be a good point to start at, or a good reference point, because what it does, it shows the bridge of how your actual life affects what happens to you in the afterlife, and it is a good transition saying.
Definitely, I think you're on point on that one. I definitely will start there. But before we actually start there, because there is actually a whole beginning that takes place prior to that. So prior to that, we have the point of death. You know, you now actually, I don't want to say die actually. Your physical body and your spiritual body are now parted from each other. Okay, that's the best way I can actually explain it, because there isn't a death like that. So your body, your physical body and your spiritual body have now parted ways with each other. Now that takes place, at that point of taking place, you go through a point of preparation, okay? A point of preparation. This is perfect, actually. I think this is right here. As you can see, let's see if I can bring it up for you guys. So there's a point of preparation where you are actually looked after by a whole list of individuals, okay? Whole list of individuals. They look after your bodily self to make sure that you're fine. They do certain incantations and prayers over your body to make sure you make it to the next, to make it through the next life. So as you can see here, we have a deity called Anupu, okay? And we have another deity called Nephthys. And we also have another deity, which we can't see at present over there, called Asar, okay? So your physical body is going through a process of preparation to make it over and on to the next life, okay? But your spiritual body is now separate from your physical body. So preparation is done to your physical body to preserve your physical body. But your spiritual body is now taking a journey. It's now going into the Duat, okay? The Duat is known somewhat as called the netherworld, okay? The netherworld, or the etherical realm, or the unseen, the ghaib, the unseen realm, okay? And then after that point, you then go through a process where it's called the opening of the mouth process. Hopefully you can all see my my screen right there. So there's an opening of the mouth process that takes place where your son and other people, other individuals, reenact a very ancient mythology and ancient drama that had taken place prior to do with Asar. And now you actually become a divine being, an Asar, so to speak. So an opening of the mouth takes place where your mouth is now opened, and your spiritual self, your spiritual body called your Sa or your Sahu, and the different aspects of yourself, such as your Ka, your Ba, your Ah, your Ib, your Sharet, and so forth and so forth, all reunite with each other, and now in-house or is ensouled into your physical sarcophagus, your physical body, your physical mummy, so to speak. So now it's actually reanimated. Okay, so your spiritual body now comes back with your physical body. So we call this Yom Kiyama. So this is the day of standing. Okay, you're standing perpendicular. For my Masons out there, you know what I'm talking about. You're standing perpendicular, and now you're actually facing the south for yourself to come back into yourself. Okay, so that's what takes place. But now we'll go into what my brother was talking about. So after this process actually occurs, we have another process that's taking place. Let's see if I can bring this up. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I can bring up another one. So from the Egyptian perspective, okay, so as well, you now go through a journey, a very long travel, but let's cut that travel very short. After that journey takes place, you actually are judged now. You're going through the judgment hall. This is called the hall of double ma'at, or the ma'ati. As you can see, there is two deities here, or two angelic beings for you people, two principles as well, called ma'at. This represents truth, justice, order, balance, reciprocity, and continuous sameness of judgment. Okay, you go through this hall, and then there is certain charges that reads just like the 10 laws or the 10 commandments. Okay, saying such as, you know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, etc. Instead, you're actually going through this process, and you are now saying, I have not stolen, I have not killed, I have not slept with another man, I have not taken offerings, I have not made the children cry, I have not taken the offerings from the gods, etc., etc., etc. I have not polluted the water. Let's see what else. Yeah, so there's a whole list of things that you go through. I have not committed sins, etc., etc., or evil in the realm. So you go through all of this process, and you're denying any involvement with any evil or any wrongness in the land. Because what actually takes place in the physical realm, there is actually a judgment that's going on with your sarcophagus. Your sarcophagus is now, as you saw prior, where it was raised up to the living perpendicular. There is actually a court or judgment hall that's taking place. So it's like a simultaneous ritual that's taking place. What is happening up above is happening down below. And what takes place is you have 42 individuals, judges, assessors, that's there with you in the physical realm, representing the whole of the ancient world, or the ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet. And they're actually judging you right now. They're actually judging you. So if anybody comes up with a complaint to say that you have done them wrong, you've made them cry, you've stolen from them, you are supposed to give them back the answer. So this is a pre-written answer that you're giving back in the physical realm, and in the spiritual realm, you're answering the same accusations, okay? And you're making sure that nobody could, hold you up to account to say that you've done anything wrong. So that takes place. So you're now assessed by 42 judge, your peers, okay? So these are your peers as well. Anybody within inside of your community is now coming up to you to say that whether you're a good person or a bad person. Unfortunately, if you're not a good person and they've assessed you as being bad or wrong, guess what? There is not a ceremonial burial for you. You're no longer allowed to enter into the memories of the people. So this is very crucial, where there's a judgment here on the physical world as well as the spiritual realm. And okay, so now we're going to go over to the judgment scene itself. So after this takes place, you now enter into the hall of judgment itself. Okay, so this is the hall of judgment where you can see. Can you see that? Let me know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, I can see that, bro.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna have to take it off though, because my thing isn't working too great. So now there is a judgment scene that's going on. This is you here. This is you, represented by a person called Anui and his wife as well, Tutu, I believe. So now you are entering into the hall of judgment. where your heart is actually going to be weighed upon the scales of truth and justice. And unfortunately, if your heart or your consciousness or whatever, your knowledge base isn't actually in line with ma'at, you're going to have a very tough time. You're not actually going to get to see the Father himself. So this is the Father, the Judge himself. This is Asar over here at the right-hand corner. This is your whole mission. Your whole mission is to go over here to meet Asar, the Judge, to be rejuvenated and to come forth as a living star, as Brother Sarah has said previously. Unfortunately for this person here called Anui, he was a very good individual, okay? He lived up to his name. He lived up to the place he was born. He was good amongst his people, his bar, his soul, his identity, his destiny. He fulfilled the things that he was supposed to fulfill. Then we have the judge or the guide right here called Anupu. He weighed him. Jehuti and Estenu, it's just making sure everything was correct. Everything was correct with you. So guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to now be taken over to the sun, which is Haru, to meet the Father. And this is the day of bowing, the day of when the Shin is now being revealed, and you are now going to actually meet the Father himself, okay? The Father himself, and then he's going to be judging you as you are right. Hopefully you're right. I'm not even going to talk about if you got devoured by this beast here called the Amut, what will take place to you then. But if you're judged correctly, as you can see, you've transfigured, okay? You was wearing a very white, brilliant white over here, but look at this garment here. Is very different complexion, different color. What's going on here? Well, what's taking place right here is that you are now being transformed into a star, so to speak, okay? It's a very brilliant color, or, you know, like stars shining bright, yellowy, red, etc. It kind of represents that you've been judged true of voice and so forth. And you've also been given your scepter or your baton to let you know, it's called the Sechem scepter actually, to let you know you have power and authority over the dead and over the living. So you're now an effective one, being judged pure voice. So you now become an ancestor, where you can actually have an effect, not only in the spiritual realm, but you can actually have an effect on the physical realm. After that actually takes place, unfortunately, I haven't got it here, but I do actually have it. You are now actually allotted a space, okay? You're allotted your own paradise, so to speak. Let's see if I can bring this up. So you're allotted your own paradise, as you can see here, where you can sail your boat, you can farm, you can do all of that great stuff. You can do whatever you need to do in the next realm and so forth. So you're going to have a life after this life. And you're also going to be able to affect everybody else on the physical plane. And that's your whole objective with inside of the Kemetic philosophy itself, is to become an ahu or an ach, okay, somebody who is effective, who's passed its test, who is now remembered in the hereafter. Now have your consciousness and your personality, etc., and you can now impart your brilliance and your knowledge and whatever powers you have onto the physical realm, if they so choose to contact you. But alternatively, you also have your own life that you're living on in another dimension or another world, which was perceived to be there on the earth. Okay, you're having a hereafter, literally here after your death, you're going to be still here, but living your life. So that was the Egyptian conceptualization. Whether it's true or false, or whether it was a mythology or a symbology or an allegory to tell something else, is yet to be uncovered and unpacked in this particular sitting today. But hopefully we get into these topics and see what you have to say. So I've been talking way too much now. I'm going to be talking way too much. Also, if I've said anything wrong, okay, please forgive me, okay? If I haven't represented Kemet in a true and just fashion, I definitely do know this was a very basic understanding of it. I also know that it was different, you know, afterlife philosophies as well. You have the pyramid text, you have the coffin text, you have the Book of the Dead, etc. And each one of those, depending on what level in society you are at, you can be transfigured or change into, you know, different things, basically. You can transform yourselves and be something else. But I don't want to go into that because that will lose everybody. So, I need somebody else to come in now, man. I need somebody else to come in and let me know if we've represented every single individual's ideology. We've represented the African you know, part of me, I know Africa is not a monolith, but I'm going to have to say that as a coining term of a groupal term. So we've represented African theology or conceptualization, the Kemetic conceptualization, the Christian conceptualization, the Muslim conceptualization. But is there anybody else on the panel right now who feels as though they have not been represented? And can you represent yourself?
I think you actually represented all the cultures accurately. If I can build on what you were saying, I want to like tie everything together. I know everybody believes or has the belief that their spiritual systems or their afterlife conceptualization is real. It's like everybody, God is real to them. As it affects their lives, or they could they'll tell you stories of how their God or their concepts affect their life. But I'm gonna go to the more familiar balance. Talking about the Bible and the really the Old Testament concept of life and death. Whether you go through Africa, Israel, or Arabia, you'll hear this concept of the afterlife, but you'll also associate it with spirit. Everybody can agree that spirituality or a spirit is something that you can't see. It's not something foreseeable. And so anyone who thinks logically, you could come to the conclusion that any utterances given concerning that which you can't see is an assumption. It's something that you're assuming. It can't be something that you bore witness to because you never saw it or you've never seen it. In the Hebrew, you have two words that's associated with spirit. You have ruach and you have nefesh. The ruach, this something is basically to gasp, to inhale. The first time we think of life is when a baby take their first breath. And so that being the case, we think of death and we actually reflect on life. Another time is when you're gonna die. You take your last breath. And so the input of the inhale and exhale of a breath itself, again, ruach, the gas, that's the concept of spirit. That first breath, nefesh, that's the fleeting spirit. That's you'll hear terms like Nephilim or the Nephal, the fallen ones, all that. You'll hear those terms. And those are really those who deviate from what we call the source of life, and most cultures that refer to it as a God, the source. We don't know where we all have understanding of a point or a place where the collective comes from and goes back to. And so over time, based on where you are and how you experience the real world, you begin to try to fill in the blanks of the breath must be coming from somewhere. It must be going to a place. And so we create our own utopia or our own idea of utopia as to, and it manifests itself in a afterlife narrative. Now, we don't want everybody to get this. We don't want everyone to get access to this utopian society because our human nature tells us that everybody isn't deserving. And so this is where our culture and our customs and the customs that's passed down from our ancestors, this is where the laws come into play. You get the 42 assessors of or you get the 10 commandments. These are where these laws these cultural norms come into play. If you honor the ancestors, if you honor the culture, if you honor society, and you honor self as well, this is where all these come into play. And so the narrative, the concepts of someone made a statement saying basically Africa, you can't really speak of Africa on a uniform term or like said as if it's a uniformity. But actually in Africa, there is a huge uniformity to the spiritual practices. And so I'm just rambling on at this point, but basically what I'm saying is that every spiritual concept, especially the Abrahamic religions, and in comparison to the Kemetic worldview or even the African worldview, is a huge uniformity to the concepts of heaven, hell, or spiritual afterlives. That's it. I just wanted to.
All right. Thank you very much, King. Thank you. All right. Okay. So I want to know if anybody else is ready or free to open up their mics. I want to have a great discussion. I want to know. Actually, first of all, I want to know. Okay, which one of those afterlife are you more drawn to? out of the 4 different afterlife concepts, and why so? Why so? And then afterwards, we're going to go into the rationality of those afterlife concepts. So I'm going to start from Virtue TV onwards.
Brother, I don't think there's no afterlife, so I can't even. That's all fairy tale to me. So I understand it though, but it's all fairy tale, my brother.
Perfect. I love that. I love that. I'm with you, King. I'm with you. I'm with you. Sarah, go ahead, King.
Like I said before, it's warm and fuzzy stuff. However, the African concepts, both of Edo and the Kemetic systems, resonate more so with myself, because they're about, in the Benin culture, my brother was explaining, it's about an afterlife, but still about maintaining a culture, a sense of culture, and a sense of living amongst your people, and a sense of not separating yourself from where you came. And I find African spirituality resonates with me as an African, because culture and people and not separating yourself from the historical lineage from which you came makes more sense to me. People always talk about ancestors and why ancestors are important, and I feel like a lot of I guess Abrahamic religions don't get it, because they're not culturally like Africans are. It's not because Africans and being connected to tribe or village or nation or this kind of stuff is very cultural. So the brother was talking about, you know, everyone, even in the afterlife, is part of a culture trying to, you know, keep a culture together, you know, and it's about family and it's about traditions. And I feel like the Kemetic, I mean, even in the Kemetic, it was the same. What I found with the Kemetic, from my own study, I'm sure from yours, when you go into the Kemetic studies or the Nile Valley concepts, you will find everyone's concept in there, in one way, shape, or form. You will find all of the Abrahamic religion concepts, parts of it, huge chunks of it, and then peripheral things in the Abrahamic religions actually in the Nile Valley. And so for me, the Nile Valley concepts of the afterlife basically gave birth to the modern day Abrahamic religions concepts of the afterlife, barring the eternal erections and having sex with young boys and young girls. Barring that's their own stuff. Right? But I'm saying, like,
Hold on. I swear, man, like Asar had one longer, hard, wrecked penis, bruv. Come on.
No, what are you talking about? That's resurrection. That wasn't for sex. That wasn't for sex. There was no talk of the reason why he was erected was to have sex with 72 women. There's none of that. That's just I feel like I feel like people who have, when you described the Muslim version of the afterlife, it sounded repressed. It sounded like an afterlife of the repressed to me. They speak about having, like you said, anything that's haram on earth is now halal in heaven, right? So they're repressing and suppressing themselves. You can't have sex, you can't fornicate, you can't drink wine. You've got to, you know, be so good here, and then you just get to basically have a alcoholic orgy as soon as you get to heaven. And it's like, I can't really, to me it seems like a perverted version of heaven. That's just my own personal view. But yeah, the Kemetic understanding of the afterlife seems to basically have given birth to the rest of the Abrahamic religions afterlife.
Love that. All right, we've heard from my brother Lo. Kumba, you there, King? Okay, can't hear you. Unfortunately, I don't know if your mic is working or not. Malik, if you're there, unmute your mic, King.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, King. All right, I'm gonna jump over now.
Having some serious issues.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, you got me?
Yeah.
Okay, peace. All right, man, that kind of threw me off. What was the question?
I believe it was, which one resonated with you the most?
Oh, okay, bet. I would have to say that none of them resonate with me at the current moment. I do see the positive in all of them, but the thing that bothers me is we have these laws that go along to tell people what we think that God or our individual gods thinks is right and wrong, and nobody knows what God thinks is right and wrong besides the obvious, like rape and theft and killing, but other than those, I can't really say that I'm going to be judged when I leave. I think it's a cop out to believe that bad people aren't going to keep coming back here, and we aren't going to have to deal with them. They're just going to be burned up or purified or whatever, and I still can't prove that people die. All I know is that I can't consciously observe them anymore, so they die to me. But that's where I stand right now.
All right. You know what? Let me switch this up a little bit.
Hello.
Unless somebody actually wanted to speak real quickly.
Hello.
Hello. Is that?
Hi. Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Queen.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like it's a very broad subject to discuss in the first place. So I feel like to have one certain definite answer is a bit much to ask of a simple human being such as ourselves, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's weird because I've been around religion. When I was younger, I was in religion a lot. But as I've got older, I've been around a lot more different religions. And I see it as, although it can be used as a negative, the main core values, I feel like, are positive, and try to draw that natural human spirit into a more deeper spiritual place to produce you as a better person. And I feel like similarly with all of the religions, you have some state of afterlife or reincarnation or some transference of being. And I feel like that's a lot of the time equated with being the reason why a lot of people be or try to be good people. I'm not necessarily saying that's the best, but I feel like that is what a lot of people see that drive as, because I feel like that drive of proving yourself as a good person here allows your body, soul, energy, spirit to transfer to a higher place of higher being or higher knowledge of whatever that contains. But I feel like because the funniest thing is nobody really knows what happens after. It's all just kind of hearsay from somebody else and what your spirit gravitates to. But I feel like that is kind of, for me, I feel like that is the true calling of God or the universe or the afterlife or that present spirit or consciousness that surrounds you, because it should be forcing you in a positive direction. So I feel like as long as you are gaining positive direction, the surrounding arguments, I'm not saying anyone's feelings or whatever doesn't matter, but I feel like because it all points in such a similar direction of going forward and proving yourself to be of higher quality and to be of a higher being than just your natural human intention, it kind of makes you be more, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's positive, and because it all goes in the exact same direction regardless of the names or the labels that you want to attach to whatever derivative, which to be honest are just nowadays from cultural influence and geography and colonialism and all these other human factors. It almost seems nonsensical to debate the finer human principles of a spiritual understanding, if that makes sense.
Jeez, so I'm saying we need more women in here. That's what I'm gonna say. We need more women in here.
Hello. Do my best.
Oh, let me just quickly see, because I see a lot of people trying to join us. Unfortunately, I don't think there is enough room for you guys to join us. I think the panel is filled. We've got 10 individuals already on the panel. If I could actually give up my space, I would give up my space, but I can't. So we can't do that. Okay, so I think we got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 individuals on here, so I don't think we can. But what I would like to say, I would like to give my view now, okay? Because to be honest with you, yeah, I think most of you guys are full of it. To be honest, I'll be real with you. I don't know, and I don't understand why. What is the impetus for the whole eternal life, or you live on after this life type of mentality? I really don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. You know, when you lot are eating your Morleys and you know, going to, I don't know, what restaurants you lot go to? Give me some restaurants, man. Your Morleys, your
Nando's.
McDonald's,
Five
Nando, your Five Guys, your what's the one? Sushi Samba, your Duck and Waffle, and all these places here,
Wagamama.
Like, you know, Wagamama, etc. Nobody's thinking about the fish.
I didn't hear any African restaurants there. Uno start go African restaurants here.
all right.
Afrikiko.
Huh?
Afrikiko, man.
Afrikiko.
Sarah's African restaurant.
You know, keep going, man. Keep going. Like, so yeah, all of these restaurants, Safari, all these restaurants here, like you're not eating bush meat, you're not eating chicken, you're not eating fish, you're not eating lamb, you're not eating all sorts, bruv. Shaki, you're not eating all sorts, bruv. Yeah, but nobody's thinking about the afterlife for no animals. Nobody's saying that, you know what, the animals are actually going to be living in the next plane called heaven and paradise, etc., etc. Like, I think all of these talks here are like, as my brother said, it's some fairy tale to me, to be honest with you. I actually think it's a fairy tale. I really do. I actually really do think it's a fairy tale, because when I see somebody die, that dead body is dead, okay? There's no life in that body whatsoever at all. It now becomes worm's meat, okay? So I don't know where you don't get this idea that you can live on afterwards. I think it's a fanciful idea, and I really want to know, where does this idea even originate from? Because there is nothing that dies in your personal surroundings that actually lives on after it's dead, okay? That I'm aware of, okay? Okay? I could be wrong, okay? Okay? I know my brother Sarah is going to be a smart aleck and be like, but fam, like, they change. Anything changes.
After Sarah get it in, let me come in.
I definitely know that. You get me? I'll be eating that chicken, and then you get me? I'm taking in that good protein. That protein now becomes energy for me, and then I move it on and I do something else with it, and I give my, you know, some good loving, and that comes into some other form, and now there is a baby involved, and etc. I can see it. Damn, this African thought is too powerful, you know. So you know, all right, that's cool. That's the physical level. All right, cool. But what about the spiritual level now? What about the spiritual level? How have you actually seen the spiritual level live on somehow? I don't know. You tell me, man. You tell me. How do you see the spiritual level living on? You know, I actually love the ancient Egyptian Kemetic philosophy on this, because you know what they do? They break up the parts of the body into 9 distinct parts. They label them, they categorize them, and they now tell you how they come to the conclusion that, you know, this particular item lives on. So for example, they have the khat or the rat, which is now the physical body that we live in. What they've done actually is preserve the body. You know, they preserve the body. They definitely know that the body will decompose and die and become, you know, meat for the earth. But their version of eternal life is not to preserve that physical body so it lives, or it is preserved for all eternity. And I was like, okay, that's smart. That's one idea, right? One way of living onwards. Okay, cool. I hear that. Then they have something called the Ren, or the Ra, which is the word, or the name, sorry. It's a name, okay? And they say as long as the name is actually being spoken or recited or being thought of, that person now lives on, because the name is a part of the identity of that individual. And as long as it's being spoken about, as long as Sarah is being spoken about, Sarah lives in the minds of the people. I was like, okay, Fair enough. I understand. I understand that. All right. Okay. So a name can live on. Okay. So I now understand why, you have Muslims and you have, Africans and Asians. They all recite the names of their ancestors. Okay. A lot of individuals out there don't even realize they do ancestral veneration, but they do. I see a lot of Black people today. They know that Abraham had a son, and the son was called Isaac. And that son had another son called Jacob, and Jacob had 12 sons, etc., etc. And they know the whole lineage of Abraham. They know the whole lineage of Noah. They know the whole lineage of Adam. And regardless, these individuals are living on in the masses of people who've not even come in contact with them physically, but they're living on in the minds of everybody else, because everybody else knows the story of Abraham. Everybody else knows the story of Solomon and David and so forth. So just by the mere mention of these people's names, by the mere mention of Hannibal, by the mere mention of Ramesses, by the mere mention of Shaka Zulu, by the mere mention of Michael Jackson's name, they live on. So I was like, all right, cool, fair enough. Okay, but there's the other aspects of an individual. How does a ba, okay, or a soul, or a ruh, or ruach, or a nafs, or a nefesh, how does that element of an individual live on? Okay, because it's not a name, it's not a physical body that we can say has been preserved, but it's the soul or the personality of that individual. How does that live on for eternity? Please let me know. Somebody let me know. How does that live on?
Okay, I'll do my best. I'll try. So from my perspective, it's like you're looking at a wall and you've got different colors on the wall, red, black, green, whatever, and you wear shades. Depending on what color shades you wear, what you see differs. So it's not that any one person is superior to another. It's a case of, based on how you come into this world, what your environment is, your experiences will be different. No more important or less important than somebody else. Now, the reason why for us family is very important is that family is basically your genealogy. That's your genes. That's the gene pool. That's ultimately what it's all about. That's what you're trying to preserve. That's why you see a mother would die for her child, a father would die for his child. These are sacrifices that's innate in virtually all cultures, not just African, virtually all cultures. The problem that we've had is we've divorced ourselves from that. So we have decided to become superior to everything else, and we wear this mantle, and it detracts from what we should be doing. Because sometimes I tell people this. I say, if you think you're superior to a lion, go stand in front of a hungry lion and let's see how superior you are. So we have to scale back our egos a little bit and just see the world for what it is. Ultimately, we're all trying to survive. And as time has gone on, and I don't know what to call it, but something happened, and we got divorced from ourselves. We're in the process of trying to find ourselves again. So I remember literally 25 years ago, if you went to Nigeria and you said you're an atheist, people would look at you strange. Now, if you say you're an atheist, they still look at you strange. But it's not as new, it's not as novel as it was before. People are trying to come back home. So there's this gentle nudge of people trying to find out what was before, who are we, why do we do what we do. So it's not so much that we think that what I'm trying to say, it's not so much that we should be thinking of being superior, and sometimes we concentrate too much on ourselves, which is what you were saying with regards to the animals. That's why I use that lion example. It doesn't matter who you are. Stand in front of a hungry lion, you're not going to be around much longer. And the lion, doesn't matter how powerful the lion is, when elephants tread, lions give way. all this stuff you hear about king of the jungle nonsense. It's like when elephants tread, lions give way. You know, there's no ifs, there's no buts. It moves. So for me, it's just understanding, because the one thing that, if you look at the African system, the one thing that is consistent with it, no matter which spirituality you're looking at, from which group, is acceptance. So an African can see somebody else practicing something that is not aligned to them, but that's all right. That's for you. That's not for me. That's the lens that you're wearing. So when the missionaries came across, nothing happened to them. It's a case of, okay, that's them. That's what they do. It's different from me, but it works for them. We can live side by side.
Sorry, King, I have to just quickly cut in because I know we are short. We're pressed for time. We've got like 20 minutes left in the show. So everybody, okay, I'm just letting you guys know we've got pressed for time, because I definitely want to let this show go on for about 90 minutes. We already reached the hour and 12-minute mark already. So let's just push forward. Hopefully we're going to have like another discussion or further discussion afterwards. But I definitely want to cut the show really nicely, so everybody will have a chance to actually view this show and it's actually digestible for everybody. Okay, so real quickly, okay, I'm going to go back into this. Okay. Yeah, sorry, 20 minutes. I know we've got 20 minutes left, okay? But don't worry about that, because we're most probably going to do another topic afterwards, or we're going to continue, but we're just going to cut off the show. All right, because you know what? As I was saying before, it's a very nice thought that we're going to live on forever and ever and ever. But you know what? We have our memory, our consciousness, okay? Are you telling me that we're going to bring that same consciousness, okay, that same memory, the same thoughts that we do have, okay? Thoughts, okay, for some people talking about, oh, it's all energy and energy transforms and all of the good stuff there. Like, come on, like, shush your mouth for a hot minute, Sarah, man, shush. Like, I don't see how, your ideas, your thoughts, your memories, your imagination now, which is not a tangible source of energy, okay? It's not a tangible source of energy. How is that now going to go on into a next life to live forever, okay? Like, for example, if that is the case, if that really and truly is the case, okay, certain things that when I was doing when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, I can't really remember. How do I bring that into eternal life when I can't even remember it in this life, okay? For example, even what I ate yesterday or the things that I did yesterday, I can't even remember that. So I want to know, how is that our memory, okay, and our consciousness now going to be transferred over into another lifetime, okay? How is that going to happen? And for those of you who believe in heaven and hell and all those things there, so now let's just imagine, you used to be a Gallus. You used to be a Gallus back in the day, and now you're in heaven. Okay? You're in heaven, okay? And you're seeing all these different virgins, or you're seeing all these different women now, And, it's your next brethren's women over there. Like, are you going to recall those thoughts, those memories there, and now lost on another woman in heaven and now sleep with, your brethren, or you might be sleeping with Jesus's wives. If he's got so much amount of wives, are you going to sleep with his wives? I mean, what type of confusion is that going to cause? Because if you're doing all haram in heaven now, does that mean is there going to be a prison sentence? Is there going to be what's going to take place? I don't know. Help me out, man. Help me. I'm trying to understand. Please let me know. Are we going to bring our thoughts, our memory base, our consciousness into a heaven or into another life?
Okay, can I jump in?
Go tricking.
Okay, just quickly. Personally, I think that this may be anecdotal, but there are people who come into this world with certain memories, like past memories of past lives, and there's no way of us verifying this, but sometimes they do remember certain things which some people perhaps find it strange. They may walk into a room and they may remember where certain books are, where the person who passed away kept those books or kept certain items. But in terms of the wider question, it's okay, well, what is the purpose of life? If there is an afterlife, then there has to be a purpose in this life or for this life that we live. So for me, I think, and from a lot of the kind of the learning that I've been doing, I think it's really just about self-perfection. So, you know, when we go into the African spiritual system, we talk about the ka, which is like the energy body, which, you know, it's like the body double. And this ka reincarnates by seeking another physical vehicle in order to continue the work of self-perfection. So that's my take on things. But whether we can, in our current form, whether we can measure those things, that's another topic. So that's what I have to kind of add to that.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so, you know, also I want to know, okay, I want to know, because I want to see how we can actually test this. I really want to see how we can test this. I want to know, has anybody out there has had an OBE, an out-of-body experience? Have they been able to live? Okay, live. That's a very tricky word. Have they been able to be consciously aware of themselves outside of their bodies? Okay, I want to know, has anybody had an experience like that before? All right, go through my brother, Kumba.
Check, you got me? Mic 1, you hear me? All right, cool, yeah. Every night when I go to sleep, man. Every night when I go to sleep, I'm not conscious of my body at all. And sometimes I hear people waking me up, and then I wake myself up.
Wow, okay. I like that. Anybody else?
Hello?
Yes, Queen.
You all right? Well, interestingly enough, I had an incident where I had a brain tumor removed a couple of years ago. Previous to this, I had like a mini stroke, and obviously the last thing I remember was going up to see my son, to tuck him into bed. And when I was awakened in what you would say is present consciousness on a very human level, which you can see and register, and is me articulating and voicing my opinion and all that stuff, I was apparently out for 4 days, but I could clearly recall conversations that were going on around me, if that makes sense. And it may sound really weird and strange, but I swear on everything, like, I was very present and I was hearing what was going on, and I was very much there, but not awake, but again, not consciously not awake, if that makes sense, in any form of way. But
Definitely. Wow.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm
not articulating, like, I don't want to sound, funny, but on a very real level, because I'm very skeptical about these things as well. But I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, "How did you know we were talking about that?" And I was like, "I was right there. I was listening." And she was like, "No, you weren't even conscious." And I was like, "No, I know." And I was like, "I could tell you, everyone who was in the room, I could tell you what conversations went on." And it's weird things happen, but again, we're trying to very much humanize and visualize with the senses that we have on a very practical basis, to visualize and imagine everything that we conceive on a human scale, to that be on a spiritual level. If we're talking about anything associated with, if you believe in a creator or any of these kind of things, you believe in a power, and again, it is faith, it's optional, but you believe in a power that is so great that it would be able to create the universe and heaven and hell and all these things. So I don't really feel like the transference of body, or again, spirit from body, because we're not just, most people I don't think just consider themselves just human flesh. I feel like the idea of transference from body to more spiritual form is naturally only the next progression or stage, if that makes sense as well.
Definitely. Real quickly. So I want to know anybody else who's had an OBE, an out-of-body experience, before we move on, because we haven't got much time left. Yeah. Man, like virtue. Come on, man.
Ah,
Okay.
man. Why you trying to put me on the hot seat in that way, man?
Yeah, I have.
Obviously, I've had many body experiences, man. There's many. As I said on my channel, I induce myself with DMT and all of those things. So I take this thing to the real levels. So there's many experiences that I've done outside of my body and
You know
aware
what?
of consciousness,
Says,
like how the sister was saying.
hold on, real quickly. You said something to me at Speaker's Corner, man. That really hit home with me, man. If anybody spent a week with you, could you go into that real quickly? Like, we've only got a few more seconds.
Yeah, but I want that at Speaker's Corner on Sunday. I'll do that. All right.
All right, cool. Okay, so let me continue as well. So I wanted to go on to another topic real quickly, but Teach says you should continue on another topic as well if you've got time. Inshallah. If we've got some time, I'll definitely go on to another topic. It's really good. We've got a lot of people in here so far. Let me think. Have I had an OBE? So you know what? When we're talking about spiritual things and when spiritual activity is taking place with us and we're now trying to communicate that in the physical realm, it is a very, very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing to do. See, I can see the ancestors of the spirits are trying to stop me from talking. So now, let me give my anecdotal experience. Personally, I've had various outer body experiences. I usually keep those type of talks very reserved and quiet, and only amongst a particular grouping of individuals we can talk about those things, because it tends to become very pseudoistic. Personally, I don't actually believe in it. I don't actually believe in outer body experience, so to speak. I try my very best to actually rationalize and make myself understand exactly what did I have, because I'm a skeptic. I'll be real with you. I'm a walking, talking question mark. So when spiritual things do occur to me, I notice it, I acknowledge it, accept it, but at the same time, I'm trying to figure out, nah, this has to be some type of magic trick, as in an illusion, like what actually took place. And I try to be very scientific with it, but I still can't get to the grips with it. So within inside of my own personal spiritual system and society, we definitely do a lot of spiritual works. Do a lot of spiritual works to actually test. We have to experience things. So in the path of a mystic, okay, you don't simply believe in things. You actually try to be scientific with it and try to experiment with it and experience it and try to see whether we can repeat the same results using the same tests and so forth. So me there doing my spiritual works, blah, blah, blah. I'm being spiritual. I'm not going to say what was going on, so to speak. But yeah, I've had various outer body experiences numerous times by following a very same method continuously. And I'm like, wow. It is very interesting to see that your whole physical or your spiritual body can actually separate from your physical body. At that point, I realized that, for me personally, that there has to be something that lives externally from your physical body once you pass away. I hope that once you pass away, that same spiritual essence that is fully cognizant, okay, of your external realm outside of your body is fully capable of experiencing another life. Unfortunately, I have my skepticism side, where it says, you know what, that is only taking place because you are physically alive. Because when a person gets knocked out, do they experience anything like that? No, it's complete blackness. They just come back into themselves. So hopefully, I hope that there is a spiritual dimension that you can live externally from your physical body. But as far as I know, when your physical body and your spiritual body is together, okay, you can have spiritual experiences outside of your physical body. But can you have those same experiences once your physical body is no longer functionable? That to me is debatable, it's questionable. I have very much so big problems in thinking like it can, but I have a hope and a faith that it possibly could take place, because it'd be a warm and fuzzy feeling yet again to say that no, we actually do live on after we actually die. I hope it does. I hope it happens, but I don't know. But anyways, that's one aspect of things. But now I want to go on to you know what? So how can we now verify this? So we can have our own anecdotal experiences where we can say yes, but has anybody here spoken to a spiritual being, okay, a spiritual being, such as somebody who has passed away, who can testify to you that there is life after death? Has anybody done that? Has anybody done that? Or is it simply just beliefs yet again?
Yo,
I'm gonna say it does.
when you say spoke to, I'm gonna not the words, but and I'm speaking from my
Wait, real quickly, because you're right. I did just do something that was fallacious. Pardon me. Has anybody communicated? Aha. That's the right terminology right there. Going on like these niggas actually have mouths to speak. So yeah, pardon me. Forgive me. Go ahead, brother, continue.
Yeah, from my perspective on the African worldview, I have an altar and all that, and I have a place set aside for altar, and I speak to my ancestors on a regular basis. Do they communicate with me? I would tell you yes. How they communicate with me, is and remember the culture in which I come from. The concept of the afterworld to me isn't one where you're actually trying to get to an afterworld. It's about unity in a way that's long lasting. You mentioned the deity with the phallus. Men is a symbol of your generations. It's about you being effective, being able to. In that aspect, you do live on through your descendants. That heavenly place, the heavenly state. If you spend your life, and I'm going to speak in comedic terms, if you live according to Ma'at, certain things, these are the concepts and beliefs based on culture. If you follow a certain law, if you follow a set of rules, you'll be able to manifest things not in the spiritual world. And when you leave, you've already planted your seed, your spiritual seed, in your next generation, your children, and your grandkids. That spiritual seed is in place, and so that seed lives, and if you lived according to the laws of your community, because the concepts of right and wrong, those are cultural. It depends on what you as a culture agree is acceptable or not acceptable. Right and wrong, good and evil is agreeable and disagreeable. So when as a culture, once you live based on the custom tradition of your ancestors, and you can improve upon those things, you stand out, and your descendants benefit from that. And so when you ask me, do my ancestors communicate with me? Sometimes I feel lost, and I sit down and I think, and I swear I hear my grandmother's voice. You could do it, or she'll tell me. I hear something being said that she used to tell me when I was growing up. That's just a memory coming back, and that's her, and I experience that, or I take that as her communicate with me, reminding me I've already given you what you need, so this is how you should move. And countless times I've got just been in situations where I'm trying to figure out what's the best move, and everybody, society, and everybody around me is saying this is how you should do this. This is how you should move. We say, but it goes against my cultural norms or my cultural reality. And that being the case, I kind of separate myself from that because my ancestors spoke to me and spoke through me. A lot of things I don't say because it's something that I would on a regular day just bust out and say, but I said because I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for my ancestors. And so when you ask, do spirits speak? Does anyone have a spiritual or out of body experience? Well, to me, experiencing the spiritual concept, the spiritual realm, as I could possibly get for you.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yo.
All right, could I get somebody else to speak on this? Brother Malik.
Yeah. One second. It's mad to talk about these things, but like, obviously, man's been in a deep meditative state, and I would say I've spoken to an ancestor of mine, innit, personally. Obviously, a skeptic might say it's my mind wanting to see that person, but trust me, I didn't want to see that person at that time. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't think it was a lesson, but I don't think I would have wished to have seen it, because I'm not really, like you said, I'm kind of a skeptical person myself. And obviously it's happened to me a couple of times in similar situations. Does that make sense? So do you get what I'm saying? So that's my personal experience. And speaking to other people, they would say that they've had a similar experience. And people all over the world, Africa, Native America, do you know what I'm saying? Even Aborigines, they have these same experiences. And not everybody's gonna lie, do you get what I'm saying? And as obviously a lot of like religious people try and suppress these things, I would definitely think there's some element of truth to that. You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Whether good or bad, your ancestor could probably come back to do something bad as well. It's not always a positive thing, but I definitely think that does exist, out of body experiences, and from that makes me know there's an afterworld, because how did that spirit, that person, do you get what I'm saying? Like, they didn't come looking old like how he was. He come back looking quite young. Do you get what I'm saying? So I've never seen him like that, but I knew it was. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a mad experience. I can't really put it into words, because, like you're saying, it's a spiritual thing. It's not something that even I think there's enough words in the English language to describe it. But I'm trying my best. But it was mad. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, to experience someone's energy the same as how you felt them here on this earth, and they've been died 20 years. That's unexplainable. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll just leave it as that, really.
All right. You know what? We're going into something. One last person, if we have got another person, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to quickly. You can interrupt me if you can. I'm gonna have to say this. Basically, I really want to cut this show to an end right now, so we can actually start a new show and a new topic, or continue with this topic, but just keep it nice and very brief, so everybody's views was represented in this particular show, and then we can move on to something else. Because I definitely want it to be a very short show, so everybody can have a chance to view this. So that being said, I'm going to welcome everybody else back who's here right now onto another link. Okay, onto another link. All you have to do is simply inbox me via Facebook, or inbox me however you got in touch with me prior, and I will send you the new link. There's a new link for a new show, and we could just chop it up. We can just keep it real easy. We'll keep it real easy with free flow, and we'll discuss whatever needs to be discussed. But I want to close this show right now. Everybody else in the listening audience, please stay in tune, okay? So within the literally next 5 minutes, there's going to be a new live YouTube link that will pop up that you can watch, okay? That you can watch after this one, where we're going to continue this discussion and most probably bring in some new elements as well. If you like the link, please inbox me via Facebook to get the new link. All right. Hold on real quickly. I believe my brother, yeah, definitely will send you the link. No problem with that. So I see everybody just doing the request already. Let me know, guys, if you actually enjoyed the show so far. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a big thumbs up. Give me a big thumbs up if you like the show, and please share it with the rest of your friends and your family. And everybody know, if you want to join us in the panel, we're actually going to have my brother Scott Lane, I believe, a Christian brother. He will be coming on Tuesday, the 30th of this month of May, and he's going to go through some real good stuff with Christianity. And I can't remember the outline right now, but I will give it to you later on in the future. We've also got our brother who will be here tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow, he'll be here live on Talk with the Titans. So please tune in for that as well. In that being said, family, I see you guys just showing a lot of love. Okay, Teach. Literally inbox me via YouTube. You can inbox me via YouTube. Go on to my YouTube channel page. Inbox me via that. Or if you got Google Plus, befriend me via that and link up with me. All right. That's about it. That's about it, man. That's about it. I see a lot of people wanting to know more about Kemet, who is Ra, etc., etc. What is Ra? can ask, throw your questions out from the listening audience, and we'll definitely get those questions answered for you. All right. Peace, blessings, and love. I'm going to close out this show, but everybody who's here right now, stay on. Peace.